podcast. Is there anything that you don't do?
Normal things that human beings do.
I imagine you wouldn't have much time. Tell us about your podcast. Tell us about your film career. I'm interested.
I'll do the podcast first because that's more fun at the minute. Basically, obviously, with COVID-19 and everything that's happened, the film industry kind of took a bit of a hiatus, and we had quite a few projects that we were kind of rolling with that we had to kind of just put brakes on, and we got a little stir crazy, as everybody probably did, and during one of our many ridiculous conversations that we have at stupid o'clock in the morning, we decided people would love to listen to us both ramble on about films. So, lo and behold, 2 microphones later, we decided to do the Speakeasy Noir podcast. It seems to be doing okay so far. People seem to enjoy our sort of ramblings and slight dissecting of film noir.
What are some of your favorite movies in general? Like, they don't have to be noir films, but what are some of your favorite flicks?
Oh God, I hate these questions because I have so many. I can't just name one. I'm a bit of a mixed bag, really, because I like film noir. Film noir kind of got me started wanting to write films. So it's always got a special place, you know, stuff like Conflict and Maltese Falcon and all those kind of films. But then I'm such a sucker for just rubbish as well. I love rubbish films, as you'll probably find out in a minute. I really like sci-fi films, and I've always really tried to write sci-fi films, and I've always thought that I'm fantastic at writing sci-fi films, and I'm really not. But I still enjoy watching them very, very much. Stuff like The Fifth Element, and I'm a mad Star Trek nut. Any Star Trek film you put in front of me, it's on repeat. My daughter hates it.
I'm along the same lines. I like movies that people would consider to be bad movies, but I mean, I was very excited when you picked this topic.
Oh, good.
And the topic, of course, is 5 unintentionally funny films. Is your list in any kind of order?
No. Okay, so here's the thing. I got in a little bit of a vortex trying to pick the films, and I lost like 3 days. And I had too many to pick, and I had to narrow it down to 5, and then I realised that I picked some that were listed as comedies. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. So I had to kind of go back to my list and have things that were marketed as serious films.
Yeah, it's tough to have an unintentional comedy that's listed as a comedy.
Yeah, I had the Power Rangers movie in there for like a week and a half, and then my husband just went, "You do know that's meant for kids, so it's probably meant to be funny." Oh, that's off the table now.
I also had a ton of movies that I could have put on here, and it was tough narrowing it down to 4 or 5. It was tough narrowing it down to 5. That would be weird if I narrowed it down to 4, considering this is not the Force 4 podcast. All right, Carly Street, let's get to the list.
You know what's gonna happen? Oh, you know what's happening right now? Huh? You know what's gonna happen? No. Words? You just made the list! Top 5.
5 unintentionally funny films. Let's kick it off. What's number 5 on your list of 5 unintentionally funny films?
Number 5 is Deep Blue Sea.
In the most advanced research facility in the world.
Wow.
Beneath its glassy surface, a world of gliding monsters.
A team of specialists is working against the clock.
Did someone order the fish?
On an experiment to benefit mankind.
Sharks never show any loss of brain activity as they age.
With this close to the reactivation of a human brain cell.
But before they can save millions of lives,
Tell me I didn't see that. They recognize that gun.
It's impossible. Sharks do not swim backwards. They can't.
they'll have to find a way to save their own.
I like to summarise things up with just 2 words. So for Deep Blue Sea, I've got deranged shark. Who doesn't like deranged sharks?
And Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, and when he gets eaten by a deranged shark halfway through the film, that is such a psycho move.
That's true. It's been a long time since I've seen Deep Blue Sea, but what else did you find funny about it?
Oh, this is just so much. I had to stop. I was watching it with my daughter and she's just looking at me gone out. Like, what are you watching? And I'm just, appreciate this, child. Just the sharks have got their own theme song. It's like The Omen when they're like circling around trying to pen them in, and they've got their own POV shots when they're going around attacking people. It's like a demented shark POV. It's just, who doesn't like that?
It's a great movie. It's a nice slice of genre film disguised as like a commonplace action movie.
And I will never get tired of watching people act like there's fire on them or they're engulfed in flames when there's nothing there.
Good pick. I need to rewatch this one. I haven't seen it in a very long time.
You do. And when you rewatch it, just count how many times Thomas Jane spends on the floor. He spends more time on the floor than on his feet, and he's the only one actually dressed for this aquatic adventure.
Did your daughter enjoy the movie?
No.
She just doesn't know how to appreciate it yet.
She doesn't. No.
Okay, I'm going to get to my number 5 here, and it's, I think, around the same time frame. When did Deep Blue Sea come out?
Is that like 99? 1999?
Yeah, I know it was late 90s. This one's also from the late 90s. The only way you can really describe this in 2 words is with the title itself, and that is Face Off.
So, once we kidnap Super Cop, then what?
Tiny surgery. I'd like to take his face off. Yes. If you excuse me, I have to use the little boy's wee-wee room.
I nearly picked that one.
For me, it was between Con Air and Face Off. And Con Air has his accent and his hairstyle, but Face Off has both Nicolas Cage and Travolta. This movie is absolutely absurd. There's 2 things that I think make this a laugh riot. First off, the performances of the leads, and second off, just the logistics of everything. And I'm going to start off with the acting. Nicolas Cage is always great, but in this film, you have Nicolas Cage playing John Travolta, trying to act like John Travolta, being in the body of Nicolas Cage. And it's full crazy. Just the lines that he says, yeah, it's nuts. Second off, I gotta mention the logistics. We have a brutal shootout set to the song of Over the Rainbow. Magnet boots in a prison, like a secret prison. We have stunt doubles that look nothing like the main actors. And there's a boat chase scene where you get basically close-up, pretty clear shots of these dudes that are clearly not the main actors.
Maybe they had a face-off as well.
That also could be true. And it gets even funnier when you realize that, yes, their faces were swapped, but nothing else was swapped. Yet John Travolta's like strolling into his house, Nicolas Cage in John Travolta's body, strolling into the house, and his wife has no idea that everything below the neck is not John Travolta, like it's Nicolas Cage.
Exactly, like what is she on? What have they given her? They must have drugged her or something, or she really was not invested in that marriage in the first place.
True. Like, how many lower halves is she seeing in what must have been a marriage of 10 to 15 years at least, and all of a sudden she's just like unfazed?
She's, they're all the same.
And in the ending, I mean, if you haven't seen Face Off, skip forward a minute or two, but I'm guessing everybody's seen Face Off. John Travolta gets his face back. Spoiler alert, he gets his face back, which is fine. Like, they put it back on his face and it's just like, oh, it was always here. And then he brings a kid home to his wife, like, surprise, we have a new child. And everybody's just like, this is cool, this is normal, this is great. And then the film ends.
Happy families.
One happy family.
Got my new face and my new life.
Oh, God.
/ my old face and new life.
Imagine the life of the kid that they brought home who just walks into another kid's room and he's going to grow up knowing that he replaced this void in this family's heart. It's just insane. It's utterly insane, but hilarious, the whole ride.
That, though, that's like some sort of metaphysical, like, exploration, though, if you think about it, because he had a physical face-off and then his kid's got, like, a spiritual face-off.
Oh, my gosh.
Maybe it's actually a deep genius film and we've just never known.
True. Here we are, 20-something years later, and we're still uncovering the meanings of Face-Off. John Woo, you're a genius.
Give it an Oscar right now.
Did you hear that they're making a sequel to this film?
What?
They are making a sequel to this film, and I think it's Adam Wingard who's making it.
Whose face is getting faced off this time?
Well, that's a great question, and the director has said that it's going to be a direct sequel. Like, it's not going to be some other universe. It's a direct sequel, so I cannot wait to hear the plot of the new Face Off.
Oh my god, more people's faces getting taken off.
So many faces.
It's like Saw.
Ugh. Hopefully they just call it Body Off, and then they do the whole body this time.
That would stop any plot holes with wives.
Maybe. They can just create new plot holes in that Face Off universe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Number 4 for you.
Batman and Robin.
My name is Freeze. Learn it well, for it's the chilling sound of your doom.
This is the way the world could end.
Please, show some mercy.
With ice. With a kiss.
With venom. I probably should have mentioned this. I'm poison. Poison ivy.
And the only man who can stop them.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
Can't do it alone.
Batman and Robin, simply because if someone said to me right now, other than being rich and, all that kind of stuff, if there's anything that you want in the universe that will make your day, bring joy to your day, it would be Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, following me around all day going, chill, and freeze, and making little comments about freezing and chilling.
He's so good in that movie.
He is so good. I just love that line. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. And then he just freezes a load of people that can defrost in 3 minutes. It's just fantastic.
And you'll have to remind me, is this the Batman where they decided to make the aesthetic choice to put nipples on the Batsuit?
This is my well, actually, I went for 3-word description here, which was plastic pecs and chill. So that says it all, really.
Oh, and Chris O'Donnell as Robin, just fantastic.
Poison Ivy, Uma Thurman.
Yeah, they really tried to cram everything into this movie.
They did. I do like that Poison Ivy's all about saving all the plants and the planet, and then she decides to set fire to everything with all the plants in and destroy the world. But other than that, she's totally on point.
Oh my gosh. Your pick of Batman and Robin is a perfect segue into 3 of my other picks.
Oh.
I don't even know what to start with.
Now I'm excited.
I'll go with my number 4. I'll just go to my next, my superhero movie. I expected this film to be good, and then it started, and I knew it was bad. But then it got so bad that it was funny. But it was never funny enough to be one of those so bad that it's good films, and that's 2020's Wonder Woman 1984.
My life hasn't been what you probably think it has. We all have our struggles.
Have you ever been in love?
A long, long time ago. You?
So many times. Yeah, all the time.
Oh, that's interesting, because I was on the edge of picking that, and I didn't want the internet world to hate me.
Well, they can hate me because I'm about to shit on it.
So creepy in so many ways.
Oh my gosh. Wonder Woman 1984.
Who steals a person's body?
That is on my list of things to talk about. First off,
especially Captain Kirk's body.
I know. I mean, the movie started, and I don't know about you, I had very high expectations for this movie. Did you like the first one?
Yes.
I did too. I liked the first one.
And the trailer looked really good as well.
It starts with this scene in a mall. It was so campy and so dumb that I honestly thought, as it was happening, that it was going to be some kind of Wonder Woman movie that was being filmed in the movie, as some kind of in-joke.
Oh.
But it was not.
That would have been better.
Yes, it was not that. It was playing itself straight. And then we've got a scene in which Wonder Woman all of a sudden realizes she can make an airplane invisible. She never uses that again, including a time when she and another dude have to make their way through the White House, through all kinds of armed guards, why not just make yourself invisible?
Because then the movie would have ended after about 10 minutes. We're done. We've sorted it. See you later.
It's very selective power use. And then we've got these ridiculous outfits, but not in a good way. It's as if the people who were making the movie saw a couple of episodes of Saved by the Bell and then went to a Halloween store and bought costumes that were just titled 80s chick and then threw them into the movie because that's what the 80s looked like. And continuing on that theme of the 80s, there's a try it on montage of clothes with Chris Pine. It's insane. And now I have to touch on what you talked about. This person, they steal a guy's body. The whole film revolves around this stone that you can wish for things. It's like a wish stone, which is a cool concept. But she wishes for Chris Pine to be alive. And it basically takes over some guy's body. And to her, it's Chris Pine. But she knows this. Like, she's aware that this is just some dude on the street. She doesn't care. She essentially takes this guy into extremely dangerous circumstances. He's got to be branded as a terrorist because he went through the White House, like beating people up in the White House, Secret Service agents. She definitely rapes this guy because he has no idea what's going on. If at the end of this film, he eventually he's going to turn back into the guy he was before, what's he going to tell his wife and kids if he's got those waiting for him at home?
Exactly. What about his job? He probably got fired while he was kicking people in the head at the White House.
Oh, 100%. He was definitely fired. He's headed for a divorce. Sorry, I blacked out, didn't know where I was. Even though you saw me on TV with this beautiful woman, I had no idea what was going on. But I'm back now.
Yeah.
That dude's life is ruined.
Yeah. Wonder Woman did it is not going to cut the mustard. Who's going to believe that? Oh, no, she saved everybody. She's a good person. Really? Is she really?
It was so weird watching it because the person who seemed to be having the least amount of fun was Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She always seems like she's having the worst time in this movie. So that's my number 4, Wonder Woman 1984. I apologize, listeners, if you like this film. It's not good.
That was such a good apology. I apologize, but I don't apologize.
I'm more apologizing for their taste in movies if they think Wonder Woman's a great movie. Great enough to be offended by me picking it apart.
Yeah.
Carly Street, what's your number 3?
This is a dicey one. We're in sci-fi territory now.
Okay.
Lost in Space.
We're lost, aren't we?
Their position is uncharted.
That's not one of ours.
I'm detecting motion. Behind you.
Their enemies are unknown.
Evil knows evil. So my quarters are yours.
Why don't you just hang on to your joystick?
Warning, warning.
Their survival is uncertain.
Give me an excuse to kill you.
The Robinson family will
I
travel
wonder what it'll be like to jettison your body into deep space. Do they have a name for what's wrong with you?
Wait up, wait!
beyond the frontiers of adventure
Cool.
to find their way home.
Get us airborne. Hang on!
I'm just going to say one sentence to you. Gary Oldman is a giant space spider.
I'm sold.
There's no other reason not to watch it. Gary Oldman is a giant space spider.
Ooh, and Matt LeBlanc riding on his friend's fame at this time, I'm sure.
He is so funny in this film because he's like trying to do this Jean-Claude Van Damme sweaty sort of angry, stoic sort of hero, and he just sounds like the dramatic voiceover guy that does the film trailers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's all I like. Everybody kind of does that. They all have the little dramatic trailer moment where they're like, "Oh, we need to do this. Oh no, we can't do that." And I quite like that.
They're endearing moments.
They are. Everyone gets electrocuted as well at some point. Everybody touches something that electrocutes them. And there's giant space spiders. There's like weird time travel in a bubble. It's all going on.
And this is played as like straight up sci-fi.
Yep, this is like a serious, dramatic father and son tale of like, looking after your family and all that kind of stuff. And wow, they even have a Waltons routine at the end of the night. when they've got lost on the spaceship and they're like, oh, good night, Julie. Good night, Penny. Then obviously Gary Oldman is a little pantomime villain who he's circling everywhere, just causing chaos. It's fantastic.
I've seen Oldman play a lot of great villains, but I've never seen him play a giant spider, so I am intrigued.
There we go, then, you see. You haven't lived.
Let me tell you about another really odd, laughable villain, and that's in my number 3 movie, The Happening.
There appears to be an event happening. It's some kind of attack. The first stage is loss of speech.
Claire?
The second stage is physical disorientation. The third stage is fatal.
This was on my list for so long and I had to bump it for something else.
Now you get a chance to talk about it if you want to. I can't talk about The Happening without spoiling the ending. So again, if you're a Shyamalan fan and haven't found the time to watch The Happening, just fast forward. The villain in this is plants.
It's the plants. The plants did it. Yeah.
The plants, the trees, the grass. Shyamalan set out to make this horror film in which people inexplicably start killing themselves en masse, which sounds like an awesome premise for a horror movie. And there are some really, really great scenes in the first 20 minutes that play with that aspect. And then you find out what's causing it. Apparently, the Earth now considers humans pests, and the plants are somehow causing people to kill themselves. But the funniest part of this...
Instead of poisoning them like a plant could do, you know, if you touch a plant and then you touch your lips and then you die, which probably would have been better. No, you just hallucinate and kill yourself.
Yeah, they've all of a sudden started pushing a toxin out, and all the plants are just communicating with each other somehow.
Yep.
But the good news is that we get to ride along with a science teacher played by the hilariously miscast Mark Wahlberg.
That is what I just can't take serious. Marky Mark as a science teacher and a scientist, no.
Well, yeah, if you think he can change your mind with his acting skills in The Happening, it's not going to happen. As you get one of the funniest movie moments of all time, and that's Marky Mark asking a houseplant if it's okay if they use the bathroom. And you're a screenwriter. I hope that at some point in your career, you can write into a script with a straight face the lines, "We can't just stand here as uninvolved observers."
Are those people killing themselves?
You were with it, Private. What do we do?
We need to do something!
Just let me think.
They're dying!
I need a second. They released it? We're not near the road.
We can't just stand here as uninvolved observers!
I need a second, okay? Just give me a second.
We're not gonna be one of those assholes on the news who watches a crime happen and not do something. We're not assholes.
Just a second.
There were children in that room. Elliot, please tell us what to do.
I need a second, okay? Why can't anybody give me a goddamn second?
I'm going to do that.
That's a challenge to you.
That's my mission.
There's also, and one more scene I want to talk about. When all this stuff starts popping off, Marky Mark's at a coffee shop or a soda jerk or something, and there's a woman watching a cell phone video of a person getting his arm. He just puts his arm out there for tigers to eat him in the zoo. And this woman who's watching this video says, in the most deadpan way, she says, "Mother of God, what kind of terrorists are these?" And when she says that, she's looking at the tigers as if the tigers are terrorists.
Oh, the tigers didn't do it, love. The plants did. She's totally missed them out there.
Oh, man, The Happening. 2008. That's my number 3. Hilarious. On to your number 2. I've got 2 good ones left.
I feel like I've got a little bit of a controversial one here.
Ooh.
I've got a crime thriller called The Watcher.
For Detective Joel Campbell, the case that never closed.
His last alias was David Allen Griffin. I worked the case for 3 years in Los Angeles. We attributed at least 11 homicides to him.
Is coming back to haunt him.
What's he doing in Chicago? I assume he's still strangling young women with piano wire. There's a story, a ritual that he follows. Over the years, I became part of the story.
Oh, yeah. Keanu Reeves?
Yep. And the explicit reason why it's in this list and people should watch it is Keanu Reeves is a dancing serial killer. What else do you want?
John Wick just dons the hood.
Yep. And strangles people with piano wire that happens to be lying around everywhere. I just love the fact that he's a dancing serial killer who does dad dancing and lights candles and is in love with James Spader, who quite clearly does not want to be his BFF.
I've not seen this one.
And that's what's caused the issues. You've got to watch it.
You know, I almost put a Keanu Reeves movie on here because of his accent in Bram Stoker's Dracula, but I had to leave it off. I love Keanu Reeves, and yeah, maybe I should see The Watcher. I worked at a video rental store back when this came out. I think it was like, yeah, early 2000s, maybe the year 2000.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the cover a bunch, but I never got to see it.
See, I love Keanu Reeves. I'm one of his biggest fans. I've watched some horrendous films that he's been in. And this was actually in the Blockbuster, and I bought it. It was like an ex-rental, obviously, because nobody was renting it. It was on sale, and I bought it. And I don't think me and my mum have ever laughed so much in our life as when we watched this. It was just fantastic.
And I know it's played as like a serious thriller.
Yeah, it should be a good fit. Like, it's an interesting take to have the serial killer kind of like have a bit of an obsession with the police officer and be a bit, he's trying to do things to please him instead of being the other way around. It's actually quite an interesting idea. It's just purely for the fact that James Spader is out of breath and tired for 90% of the film. And Keanu Reeves is overhyped and dancing for 90% of the film. So then you've got that kind of 10% where you think, that could have been really great.
It's interesting, like, not having seen The Watcher, thinking about James Spader being the good guy and Keanu Reeves being the bad guy, because it seems like those roles could be switched, because Spader's normally, like, he can play a really creepy bad guy.
Yeah. And to be fair, Keanu Reeves is a little bit unnerving as the bad guy. It's just that he has these little character traits that they put in the script that just, as soon as you feel like you're getting somewhere, you're like, oh, for God's sake, he's invited him to a graveside with a bunch of beers. What serial killer would do that? And then, like, he takes him on a car ride, and they have couples therapy in the car.
Oh, of course.
They start arguing like they're a couple. He's like, why? I've done all this for you. Why are you letting your work get involved? It's like, you're a fucking serial killer. Slice him in the neck.
Does the fact that he's a dancer ever play into the plot? Like, does he ever dance away from bullets or anything?
No, he doesn't. He just dances round and round and round. That's pretty much it. And there's like thousands of candles lit as well at the crime scene. So he never accidentally catches fire or anything.
Oh.
And he's got a long coat. He's got like a long Matrix coat, and he's even got rip-off Matrix music.
Oh, no. And this came out right after The Matrix?
Yeah, it was like 2000, 2001.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
I know.
I guess I owe it to myself to watch it as a Keanu Reeves fan as well.
Yeah, you're going to have to embrace the dancing. Embrace it.
Speaking of embraces, my number 2 has many of them. This was Hollywood's second attempt to make Anna Nicole Smith a serious action star. And that's 1996's Skyscraper.
It's already happening. And she is flying right into the heart of it. The enemy is here. The battlefield is locked. Skyscraper.
Oh, I haven't seen this one.
Oh, it is a delight. The very first movie that she was in is also worth watching for the hilarity. It's titled To the Limit. And in To the Limit, she's a normal person, but there's a scene where she takes a CD, like a compact disc, and throws it like a frisbee, and it lodges into somebody's face.
Oh my God, that's like some Captain America shit right there.
It is. And
wow.
That's in To the Limit, and then that one obviously failed. So they put her into Skyscraper, which is essentially a Die Hard clone, but instead of a calm European bad guy played by Alan Rickman, we get a calm South African bad guy who quotes Henry V for no reason.
Wow.
Anna Nicole Smith, not a good actor, but this film tries to paint her as this like badass helicopter pilot. And we know she's a badass because we have a flashback scene in which she's shooting bottles with deadpan accuracy, like 6 bottles up, 6 bottles down. But when she sees bad guys in this skyscraper she's trapped in, she can't hit anything but stacks of paper and computers. She also carries a 6-bullet revolver that shoots 20 plus bullets. And
Sweet.
she knows karate moves, which are hilarious. There's also, because it's Anna Nicole Smith and it's like, well, we got to get butts in seats, there are several softcore porn type of scenes placed awkwardly throughout. Like, she just gets home from a long day at work and we watch this extended slow motion shower sequence.
Oh, wow.
Anna Nicole Smith, probably drugged out of her mind while making this. Like, she can barely deliver simple lines of dialogue. It appears to be so much work. She's almost drooling while she's talking. And there's one of my favorite lines in this film. She says she's trying to convince her boyfriend or husband or whatever she's trying to convince him to have a kid. And she says,
well, excuse me for still believing in Sunday walks in the park and little babies.
Skyscraper, 1996. It was their attempt for a Anna Nicole Smith Die Hard, and not good. Did not work out.
I'm going to have to put that on my watch list for tomorrow.
You know, I will send you a link to just the outtakes of it, but the full film, I'm pretty sure you can find on YouTube.
Oh, that's it. Well, that's my afternoon sorted tomorrow.
Let me know what you think. All right, Carly Street. We're to the grand finale. Number 1 on unintentionally funny films. What do you got?
So excited for this one. It's Titanic 2.
100 years later, the world's greatest ship.
Most sophisticated ship ever created, the Titanic 2.
Let's make history.
Will sail again.
Have another one of your bad feelings, Captain?
You could say that.
I didn't even know there was one.
Do you know what? I was speaking to 3 people today and they were like, Titanic 2, is that a thing? Yes, it is. Excuse me. Shane Van Dyke versus the ocean. It's one of Asylum's like crowning jewels.
Ooh, Asylum. Always quality.
Always. I mean, I tell you what, the CGI in this, when it's not in the dark, it's fantastic. There's a lot of shots of the boat on the water just in pitch black, so you can literally just see like dots of the outline
of
the
beautiful
ship, which I'm guessing were perhaps windows. I don't know. Who knows? And then they've got when they're all having like a little party, considering it's the Titanic 2 and it's supposed to be this massive grand adventure of the Titanic's been rebuilt and we're going on this fantastic adventure that's going to retrace its original sort of journey. And they go in the little bit where they're all dancing. It looks like a village hall. There's like 3 tables, 4 chairs, like a few fairy lights. It looks absolutely dire. Why anyone would pay to be on that is beyond me. And then the best bit comes when it hits the iceberg. This time from, a big wave. And they're all trying to lean over as if the ship's like sinking and tilting. And so you just get lots and lots of shots of loads of extras that look like they've been stopped and started on CCTV, just trying to flail their arms with like doing a bit of a Neo thing where they're moving the back a little bit, like It's just for that, regardless to anything else. Just the extras. You got to watch it for them.
I need to wrap my head around this movie. Are they saying in this film that they like dragged the wreckage of the Titanic up, or did they build another ship? Like they just decided to build the Titanic like the number 2.
They decided to build another Titanic 2. And then Shane Van Dyke, because he's a tricky fella, rushed it through a little bit faster than he should have because there was a bit of an anniversary dinner that they wanted to set sail on. Lo and behold, what happens? The lifeboats, they look like Thunderbird 2. The lifeboats actually come out from underneath the bottom of the ship like something out of Stingray. But they're not safe in the water because there's a second wave with more icebergs. So if you go in the lifeboats, you're toast.
Well, of course.
It's fantastic. And then you've got Bruce Davidson in a helicopter as the Coast Guard, who's obviously, on a plane that's running out of fuel while he's trying to tell the Titanic to, move out of the way.
Are we to assume that the iceberg is the same iceberg that sunk the first Titanic? Like, are there going to be 2 ships on top of one another at the bottom of the ocean?
That would probably have been more exciting. I mean, the opening scene is of a guy on a surfboard in Greenland completely surrounded by ice. If that doesn't, I don't really think you should be in the water right now, mate. So when the ice cap breaks, I mean, that just sets the tone for the whole film, really. It's fantastic. There's nothing better than watching Shane Van Dyke take on water.
Wow. Okay. All right. How do I top that? I really can't. So, on Deadly Ground from 1994, Steven Seagal.
In this land of frozen beauty, where a proud people make their home, Aegis Oil is making a killing.
The people here want to talk about the poisons in their environment.
If Aegis 1 is not online and operational in 13 days, then the oil rights will revert back to the Eskimos, and that is not going to happen.
But there is hope. And now, he's here. Steven Seagal is on deadly ground.
You're an oil man.
But I put out the fires. I stop spills.
Oh, I nearly had a Steven Seagal one, but it was Under Siege.
From Under Siege to like 1999, or like up to Exit Wounds or Half Past Dead, he had this really weird period where it was just embarrassing to see him try and keep his status as an action star. And then after that, he just looks like a sad piece of shit that needed to hang it up. I could have picked anything from Under Siege to like The Glimmer Man, and then all these other weird environmental movies. And this is one of those. If you can believe Mark Wahlberg as a scientist, surely you can believe Steven Seagal as an environmental agent he's
obviously.
Yeah, and another scientist guy who works for an oil company and also has karate skills or aikido skills or whatever he practiced.
Who doesn't? He doesn't have karate skills on the side.
That's a good question. Podcasters with karate skills, that's us.
That could be the next show.
Top 5 podcasters with karate skills. Me, number 1.
I'll be number 2, and that's the end of the list.
He works as this environmental agent. He questions his boss about this Alaskan oil rig. And of course, like any boss who gets questioned by a subordinate, the boss is like, you need to die. So he just kills him. Or so he thinks. Steven Seagal is resurrected by some Native Americans. And then he goes to kill the bad guys. At one point during this, though, he has this very spiritual journey in this dream sequence about how the earth is being hurt. And in response, he immediately goes and blows up an oil rig.
Definitely. That's the work of God right there.
Yeah. And then, of course, the movie ends with Steven Seagal, known sex trafficker, multiple accusations of rape. But he really cares about the environment because he gives a speech about how evil oil companies are and how in pain the world is because of how humans prioritize money over the environment. I mean, I guess he's got a point.
Maybe they could have had somebody else maybe do that speech.
Yeah, or just like somebody else in the movie altogether, or just not have the movie altogether. I guess the good thing is that Michael Caine's in it.
If Michael Caine can't save a film, then there's no hope.
I guess you gotta pay the bills. Carly Street, thank you so much for joining me tonight. What's coming down the pipe for you? Like, obviously, we want people to listen to your podcast. I know you said you had some projects that were in production or pre-production when the pandemic hit. What can we look forward to that you're working on?
We've had a project in the pipeline for a long time called Room 19, which hopefully we're going to be able to... It's a little bit of a complicated project, so hopefully we're going to be able to start getting that back on track soon. But before that, we've got a horror film called Old Sins, which we are able to start getting back into the swing of things of looking, and we just started casting for that. And that's a horror film about a creepy old gentleman who lives in a house on his own, who has a bit of a secret. And I'm going to do a dramatic pause there, because it's going to be a bit of a homage to kind of the slasher films and the horror films and the silly films and stuff. So hopefully there'll be a lot of funny bits and a lot of gore and just something a little bit silly and funny for everyone to enjoy.
And that's what people need right now.
Yeah.
Very cool. And of course, go listen to the Speak Easy Noir podcast so you can get your noir on.
Or your nonsense on, whichever. It depends which episode.
Yeah, and you can get your drink on because you guys give it like a drink recommendation during some of the episodes.
Yeah, Jason makes a drink that I 9 times out of 10 don't know what he's talking about. So we have 10 minutes of him mispronouncing things and me not understanding what he's telling me.
Always fun. Thank you, Carly, so much for coming on.
Yeah, it was really fun.
That's the end of the main show, but remember to stick around for a few minutes if you're interested in my Mortal Kombat review. If you're a fan of the Force 5 podcast and want to be a guest on the show, the only requirement is that you love movies and want to talk about them. Come up with some interesting top 5 list topics and head to the website force5podcast.com for the show request form. Go rate and review the show on your favorite podcast platform and follow the Force 5 podcast on Instagram and Twitter so you can tell me which movies you found unintentionally funny. Intro and outro bumpers today come courtesy of Nate Spears. The top 5 list bumper was produced by me with music from Audio Binger. Until next time, stay safe, stay sane. No one follows or enforces. For some reason, if a realm wins 10 in a row, they take over Earth or something. So it's up to all of your favorite Mortal Kombat characters and Cole Young, a charisma-free mid-card MMA fighter that you'd be nervous putting a few bucks on to save the Earth. I've played Mortal Kombat for years. My dad bought us our first Mortal Kombat game on the Sega Genesis, back when you had to call the Sega hotline to get the blood code. I was never tournament level good, but I could hold my own at the arcade with the first 2 games. I played heavily up through the N64 game, so I'm very familiar with the series and was genuinely excited for this new iteration, one that promised amazing fights, characters we know and love, and of course, buckets and buckets of gore. The film starts with a bang as the Lin Kuei clan massacres their rival faction, leading to our first fight scene between the men who would become Scorpion and Sub-Zero. It's bloody, CGI blood, but better than nothing, and the action was pretty cool. I was excited. And then we meet Cole Young. The Mortal Kombat franchise has nearly 100 characters to choose from to build a story around, yet in this film we follow Cole Young, a character with the spark of a bag of flour and fighting skills that might be good enough to compete in the Rex Kwon Do dojo. This dude sucked. His story sucked. He comes from the lineage of Scorpion. We've got the perfect setup for him to become the new Scorpion. He has visions of Scorpion when he looks in the mirror. And then as his powers manifest in a pivotal scene in the film, it turns out his actual power is plot armor. Seriously, your plot was already there with Sonya Blade. Have Sonya be the main character, heading towards this tournament without powers on her quest to receive them. I've heard the studio wanted an Asian lead actor. That's awesome. You have 2 amazing ones in Liu Kang and Kung Lao. Develop one of them. Must have been one of those scenarios where they wanted an Asian lead, but not that Asian. Instead, we're left with the human equivalent of Beige and his journey to save the world with his middling fight skills and his vibranium Wakandan armor. I know, Mortal Kombat shouldn't be about the story, it should be about the fights. Unfortunately, most of the fights were short, chopped up messes with some fatalities thrown in. Seriously, like what happened with the editing in this film? It feels like half the movie was shot during reshoots. Scenes don't connect, characters jump positions. In one scene, they clearly just removed a fight scene between Shang Tsung and Mileena, and it looks so weird. Some of the fatalities are cool, namely Kung Lao using his hat as a buzzsaw, and Sub-Zero ripping off Jax's arms, but others were kind of disappointing. How can you show us the famous Mortal Kombat pit level and not use the pit? That whole sequence felt super weird when they split everybody up, as if they were saying, "Alright nerds, here's 2 minutes of Mortal Kombat game stuff." The special effects during the fights were pretty good. I really liked Sub-Zero's ice powers. He was awesome. Freezing somebody's blood to immediately stab them with it was an awesome moment. Now, I've seen a lot of love for Kano online. I thought he was overly annoying, like to the point that I just wanted him to bite it as soon as possible. And I get that's the point, but he was so grating. Unfortunately, I'm sure we haven't seen the end of him. Raiden was also horribly miscast, and many of the other characters just weren't very interesting. Cabal stood out to me as one of the highlights, as he was one of my favorite characters to play as in Mortal Kombat 3, and of course Kung Lao was great too. I really wish they would have just made the Asian lead Kung Lao, or Liu Kang, and have him meet one of them in the temple. Super easy. Now in any video game adaptation, there's going to be a level of fan service. Unfortunately, most of these moments felt so forced and very unnatural. Kano yelling, Kano wins after tearing out the heart of Reptile was particularly cringeworthy, as was Kung Lao proclaiming flawless victory. The worst, of course, comes from Scorpion, as the man who could only speak Japanese says in perfect English, "Get over here." The better moments were those that felt like you had to be an actual fan to spot, like Shinnok's amulet or Katana's fan. The best fan service moment, of course, happens during the Liu Kang Kano fight when Liu Kang spams the leg sweep. That took me straight back to the arcade. In closing, Mortal Kombat was a mess, and it's unfortunate. It reeks of studio interference, is marred by a lame character and embarrassing editing, and the fight scenes just aren't that good. There will be a sequel, so here's an idea. Hire someone who's really great at directing fight scenes. Grab Gareth Evans, grab Chad Stahelski, and pay them to do it right. I shouldn't be pausing HBO Max to see how much time is left because I'm bored while watching a movie that's based around fighting. I think there's still an opportunity for a really good Mortal Kombat movie. This one, though, this one is not it.